he's throwing in to Charlie Hunnam to kind of like ice the deal is a screenplay that he might want to produce.
That's a funny scene.
It is.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined by Jonathan Watkins from Cinemasins.
Hello, hello.
And today we're going to be doing a mini-pod.
Gentlemanly pod.
Yeah. Gentle mini-pod.
We're going to be very gentle
that's right.
with the mininess.
We're going to be doing a mini-pod of The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's new movie. It's been a while since he's done this. This is what he was famous for when he first broke into the scene. He did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
He did Snatch. He did Rock and Rolla. In the middle of that, he also did Swept Away with his wife, Madonna.
And then he did Revolver, I think, is kind of this type of movie. That's a Jason Statham. I don't remember. I've only seen it once, so I don't remember, but yeah.
But recently, he's more known for Sherlock Holmes, and he did that last King Arthur that had Charlie Hunnam in it. He did last year's Aladdin, so it's been a really busy year, really, honestly. I mean, he probably did Aladdin in 2018, and then it finally came out, but he did The Gentleman, and now it's like within 8 months he's got 2 movies that have come
I mean,
out.
it's really weird. Like, he's one of those directors that has, like, he's kind of almost like Jon Favreau in that he's made some movies that have made just a shit ton of money, but like I never think about him being attached to them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like you even said before this, he did Aladdin. It's like, I don't
Totally forgot about it.
I don't think about Guy Ritchie when I think of Aladdin.
Yeah. And but this is his style. This is the type of movie he's known for. This is he likes to write these big elaborate crime capers where there's multiple parties involved, all trying to get one thing, and there's a lot of complications involved and everything. And in fact, there are so many characters. A lot of times, you stumble out of the block trying to figure out, wow, how do these people like even figure into the story?
And I guess the characters are so colorful and rich and fun that he's able to get like these pretty nice casts, to come, like people like Hugh Grant and Charlie Hunnam to come do these things with him. Matthew McConaughey. I mean, there's so many fucking people in this movie. It's not even funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it starts off. It starts off basically with Hugh Grant visiting Charlie Hunnam, and he's got a proposal for him, and it sets the plot in motion. Basically, Hugh Grant. We're getting the whole story from Hugh Grant this whole time.
Who's doing a very interesting, like, Ricky Gervais kind of.
I guess so.
That's what it. I just remember when he first started, it felt very much like Ricky Gervais, and I was just like, I wonder if Ricky Gervais was ever hollered at about this movie, or that was just who Hugh Grant decided. He was like, oh, if I'm going to do an asshole British dude, I'll do Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, maybe so. I didn't quite get Ricky Gervais out of it, but that makes sense. It would make sense. But yeah, he's a slimy character. He works for Eddie Marsan in this movie, who is I guess he runs like a tabloid newspaper.
Yeah, that was the impression I got. Man, I love Eddie Marsan though. God, he's great. Like, I think he's perfectly used in almost every movie he's in. Like, I mean, he's not like a main character kind of guy. Like, he's very much just a great character actor. I mean, he might get offended by that, but I love him.
But we get the sense that Hugh Grant is basically a paparazzi type guy. He goes around, he takes pictures.
Maybe has some writing ambitions like that go beyond.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what sort of sets our story in motion, is that he goes to Charlie Hunnam and he's like, I've got a proposal for you. Here's the story. And is this going to be worth? I think he asked for £20 million.
Yeah, so whatever that is, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's more than $20 million
exactly.
here. But this is a movie that you definitely have to get into spoilers right off the bat too. So, what is your grade for this?
Now I will say we were doing this right after we recorded the Turning Pod. So the last night I saw both of these back to back. So some of my I'm curious to see it again because I feel like some of my love for this movie might be from seeing it right after The Turning. But I really, really enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun. The cast is clearly having a blast doing this, and that's always entertaining. You think back to like Ocean's 11, you know, movies like that, where you know, everybody's having a lot of fun. I really, really, really like this. And while I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, Guy Ritchie's back to form and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I think there's maybe a little more going on here than that. I could be overthinking it. But I'm going to give it an A-. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm also going to give it an A-.
Cool.
Yeah, it's these movies. I Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is one of my favorite movies.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, I don't know where I would put it in my like top whatever, but
yeah.
But I've seen it a lot of times.
I have too. You know, I was actually thinking about that last night because I've seen Lock, Stock a bunch. I've seen Snatch a bunch. Now, Snatch I actually didn't like the first time I saw it. I've grown to really like it. And then I actually like Revolver and Rock and Rolla quite a bit, but nowhere near as much as those two. But after I watched this multiple times, it wouldn't shock me if this is my favorite of his, because I think this is definitely on that Lock, Stock level. It's pretty close if it's not there.
Yeah,
but I saw it 12 hours ago.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah,
who knows? But yeah, it's the same here. I just think it's a ton of fun. Like you said, it looks like everybody's having fun. It's been a while since I've seen Matthew McConaughey. Like it's weird. He'll do this thing where he'll be in something like True Detective, and he did, you know, Dallas Buyers Club, and that's why everybody called it the McConaissance when he was doing all of that back in the day.
Yeah.
He trades that McConaissance in for all this weird shit like Fool's Gold and was it Fool's Gold? Was that what it was called?
Well, you're talking about the one he did recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually just called Gold.
Just Gold.
Yeah, Fool's Gold's the Kate Hudson.
Oh, yeah. So he does well, I mean, and that was after he did when he became a star, like he started trading it in for all this other.
He did all these romantic comedies.
I mean, he's been in a lot of bad movies. Like if he continued doing this, he'd be like Nicolas Cage. I don't think Nicolas Cage. He doesn't have the theatrics of Nicolas Cage, so there's not a lot of people who go around doing a lot of McConaughey, like, you know, YouTube mashups or anything like that. But he's been in a lot of bad shit.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of people in here like I don't think I've seen Charlie Hunnam like this before.
No. In fact, I would argue that I don't know that I've really liked Charlie Hunnam. I mean, I've never disliked him. I never got into Sons of Anarchy, so I mean, he might have been amazing in that. But just I've seen him like in Pacific Rim and when he was in the King Arthur movie. And I mean, he's fine, but I've never really just been like blown away by him. But yeah, he's really, really good in this.
I know that there's a lot of people who love Downton Abbey. I've only seen, I think, one episode of Downton Abbey, but Michelle Dockery is fan-fucking-tastic in this.
Great. So good.
I love her in this movie. I love her. And then Jeremy Strong, who is in The Big Short, is the main movie that I remember him from.
Me too.
He is fantastic in this. So you got a lot of like great performances, and I don't want to forget Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell
and Henry Golding.
Yeah, Colin Farrell. Oh, Henry Golding's excellent in this.
Yeah,
and, you know, because of course he was, you know, Crazy Rich Asians. Was probably the one most people are going to know him from. This is a very different performance, and I mean, and not. I mean, he's funny, but he's also really nasty in this movie. Like he's really dangerous, and there is like one scene with him that I kind of wish they hadn't done, but. Colin Farrell, this felt very much like I love this kind of Colin Farrell. Like I love like In Bruges.
Yeah. In Bruges.
Sorry. Yeah. I always add that S. In Bruges, which is also interesting because the director of In Bruges did Seven Psychopaths, and this movie maybe because I don't know. This movie made me think of Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah. It's Martin McDonagh.
Yeah, Martin McDonagh. Because he also did Three Billboards. It's probably the one most people know him from. But Seven Psychopaths has this whole thing going on where it's a lot of people have talked about how it's essentially the deconstruction of a screenplay, and I kind of got that feel with this. That's what I'm saying. I thought there was some interesting subtext in this movie, and one of them was I thought this was kind of deconstructing the movie making process, especially when you've got the Hugh Grant character. Like, one of the things he's throwing in to Charlie Hunnam to kind of like ice the deal is a screenplay that he might want to produce.
That's a funny scene.
It is just
well done edited scene with Hugh Grant saying, "Here's what's in it for you," blah blah blah, and you're not even really expecting it. And my screenplay, he just pushes the screenplay. But Colin Farrell is great in this too. Like you talk about In Bruges, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about with Colin Farrell was that he reminded me a little bit of the Vinnie Jones character in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, very much.
It's like
so.
He's playing that role, only Vinnie Jones was more of a heavy in Lock, Stock, even though he was very funny and everything. But Colin Farrell like takes it to a new level in this and everything. He's not nearly as brutal as Vinnie Jones is, but like he's got that same kind of.
Well, yeah, he's one of those guys. He's kind of like what we were talking about with the Andrew Ludwig character, or whatever that guy's name is from Bad Boys, where like he has the potential to. I mean, because the first scene we see him in is that where he's dealing with those kids at the restaurant, and you can see where he doesn't want to be violent, but if he has to, he can be.
Yeah, he's basically the guy who's getting caught up in all of this and everything, like Vinnie Jones does in Lock, Stock. But anyway, let's get on to the real spoilers of this movie.
No spoilers!
Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Soze.
Luke's father is actually Darth Vader. She's the sister and the daughter. They just
No. I'm reading the books.
So, gosh, two pretty good movies in January. I mean, we had Bad Boys, we had The Gentleman.
Yeah.
We obviously had the usual January fare like Underwater and The Turning that offset that, but usually it's complete garbage. But let's get into the spoilers. Just like any sort of Guy Ritchie movie, this is a complex plotting situation where there are a lot of interested parties for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant is blackmailing Charlie Hunnam because he has pictures from something that he did that they have to get to eventually in this whole thing. So he wants £20 million for this, for all this information and everything, plus his screenplay. And so like the story is told like so. Matthew McConaughey plays this guy named Mickey Pearson, who is who runs this unique marijuana operation where he goes to people who have inherited estates. And I guess like when you inherit an estate in the UK, you lose like half the assets or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that dissimilar to it is here.
Oh,
either.
really?
I'm just saying, you know, taxes obviously that they come in and collect what they can. Yeah.
So to offset the losses from that, he offers these people, I guess, a significant sum per year, like $1 million or something.
It's like £1 million or something. Yeah.
$1 million per year to be able to run his operation on their land.
Yeah, because they have all this land, and then he can create these like bunkers and shit where he grows. But I mean, I got the impression he's like the marijuana guy in the UK. Like there really isn't anybody else, at least not on his level.
Right. But he interacts with another big time drug dealer. And I guess I know that one group in here sells heroin, but I don't know what Jeremy Strong does, unless it's just marijuana, and he's just not as big as he is. McConaughey.
Yeah, either I missed that or I didn't really get it. I mean, I kind of got the impression that Jeremy Strong was just a really smart guy. He was a businessman, and he just kind of realized that could be lucrative.
Yeah, he could just be a regular businessman, and they said something about he and Mickey have done deals before, but like nothing this big before.
And he's maybe even gotten Mickey some of his deals. Like he's shown him to like some of these lords and whatnot that he needs to help out.
Yeah. So Jeremy Strong plays Matthew, and Matthew is interested in buying this operation because Mickey wants to get out of it. And I'm assuming it's because of his wife, but I don't know if that's the reason why.
Yeah, he just kind of he just says, it seems like a good time to retire. Also, I think they also are mentioning that eventually pot is going to be legal, But he does say he has a backup plan for that, which is part of what he's including in the sale to the Jeremy Strong character. So that might have had something to do with it too. He just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, the price is going to be $400 million, and the reason why he thinks first off he can charge, he thinks this is a generous offer, is that it will be a $500 billion possibly once things blow up, and Jeremy Strong, the Matthew character, is like, well, if this is going to be legal, then none of this is going to be as worth what you say it is. But apparently Mickey believes that because he's got the best in the technology, the people who have the best way of making the best pot, you're going to want that.
And I remember now what it was. I remember one of the things he said, at least why he wanted to get out, was that he didn't feel like, he said he had blood on his hands. So he didn't feel like he could be the face of it, that would it be able to propel it to make that kind of money. But he thought Jeremy Strong could, because he's well known in the community, and I think doesn't have. Although you do find out he's kind of a bad person too. But, I mean, no one's really good in this.
Nobody is. It's your typical thing. But his wife Rosalind, played by Michelle Dockery, runs this auto shop that sort of, I guess, fixes these cars.
Yeah, like a female-centric auto shop. In fact, it's a women's auto shop.
But that figures slightly into this movie. But that's the main thing. He's trying to sell his business, and Matthew wants to buy it, but of course there are complications. And right after he shows Matthew this underground, this one remote place that he shows where pot's being grown, that very same container gets raided by these group of kids that night.
God, I love this scene, but go ahead.
And because they come down and they're about to raise all this hell. They got these masks on. They're shooting it for a YouTube, YouTube-like video and everything.
They call it fight porn.
Fight porn, And somebody comes out, and somebody who works there comes out and is like, oi, what's going on here? And then it's like, hey, Jerry. And then it's like, Jerry comes in, and like somebody will come out and like, oi, what's going on here? Hey, Harry.
Like, you got to see this.
Yeah. So there's this big fight thing, and then
and it's like a music video. They have a rap that they put in. It's insane.
It's so awesome.
And then Colin Farrell, of course, is their like mentor or whatever. He helps them. Like, he's a boxing guy. He
teaches them how to box, and I guess he's I don't know exactly if he's got anything beyond helping these kids out, but
that's how he gets involved.
And so right off the bat, like when we are introduced to his character, he's like trying to order something at a restaurant, and these bad kids come in, and they want to raise all this hell, and he just like beats them all up, and but then he's told that that one of his kids has done something bad, so he has to go and deal with that. Also trying to come into this whole thing is Henry Golding, who is trying to also sort of be, he's trying to be a second-hand man or something like that.
Yeah, he works for Lord George or something like that.
I think it's Lord George, played by Tom Wu. He's trying to come in, and I guess in representing Lord George, he's trying to weasel in on what Matthew's trying to do. And he's trying to buy it, and he gives like different kinds of terms for it, and I can't remember. This is when Hugh Grant is telling the story, and like at first it's this idea that McConaughey gets angry at him and blows him away in the restaurant. But then he's like, Charlie Hunnam's like, we all know that's not how Mickey operates and everything. And it rewinds, and it just basically says, basically has Mickey threatening him by the end of it and everything. So you have this complex thing. So what the question to Mickey is, why did my my unit get raided right after I told Matthew about it? Because Matthew's trying to buy this, so why would all this happened? Who told these kids about this?
Yeah.
And so it's this big, huge, like, all right, how did we get here?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of characters with a lot of different motivations.
Yeah, which is, I mean, like you said, this is pretty normal for what Guy Ritchie does best. I mean, I think he did some of this in the Sherlock Holmes, at least the first Sherlock Holmes movie. He likes to play around with this kind of deceiving you. I mean, the opening scene ends up being a deception because in the opening scene, you think that Matthew McConaughey gets killed.
Yep.
And then you find out later that it was actually Charlie Hunnam comes in, kills the guy that's trying to kill Matthew McConaughey. And then the person trying to kill Matthew McConaughey ends up being a whole different thing that has nothing to do with, well, I mean, it inadvertently has to do with this, but it's because of something else. Like what is it? They're trying to, he's trying to help out one of his estates. Their daughter has run away and has gotten involved with these people that sell heroin.
Right.
And so when they go to get her kid inadvertently gets killed, falls off a building, and he ends up being tied to a bunch of Russian mobsters, and so they get brought into it too.
This is the whole reason why Hugh Grant has pictures on Charlie Hunnam is that they go and try to save this girl, and you're like you said, the heroin and everything. She's strung out on heroin. A guy dies, but he falls out of the thing right next to their car. Yeah. And there's all these kids outside who start taking pictures. And so like the right after that, he and like Hunnam's crew all have to go find these kids who are taking pictures.
Which is another great scene.
It's another great, like, just funny aside to this whole thing.
Watching them have to run after the kids and stuff is just really funny. And then
Hunnam comes up to this, like, he basically gets to a dead end where there's like these kids all like sort of in a gang, and Hunnam looks like he's defenseless. He's just kind of like, first he's like, let me give you £400 for the phone. Yeah. And then they're like, why don't you just leave that 400 here and I'll just keep my phone and we'll beat your ass if you stay around.
And then he's just like,
then he pulls out this big fucking gun.
And I love Hunnam. Like, Hunnam is really good in this because I love that moment because there's that part at the point where they say, like, why don't you just put the money down? He just has such like disgust on his face. Just like, why won't you just take the money?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, why does this have to be this difficult? You know, and I think you're kind of seeing like the older gangster versus the younger trying to be a gangster or whatever. But yeah, like, I mean, I think everything you're saying is just showing how fun this movie is and how just crazy it is.
Yeah. Every time that you think that, okay, well, here's some simple thing that's going on. There's some other interested party doing something else that sort of circumvents
and I'm sure
it.
Like if we send this or whatever, if you think about it for too long, I'm sure you're going to come up with reasons why things don't work. But I mean, but you can make these movies you can make them to the point where you just don't give a shit because you're having such a good time with it. I thought it was also interesting. Another thing I want to talk about in the subtext of it, I think you also kind of have this Fight Club-esque thing to it where it kind of feels like it's a very like toxic masculine kind of movie, but at the same time, it feels like it's really poking fun at that. Kind of giving like this, because it's just making it so outlandish and stuff, kind of like Fight Club does, to where you have all these people that don't really understand that that they're basically making fun of people that, have that kind of mindset or whatever. And I kind of got that in this because a lot of these characters are very effeminate. They're not even subtle. I mean, Hugh Grant at one point asked Charlie Hunnam if he can go to bed with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was interesting because I thought the fact that he wasn't even trying to be subtle about it was really fascinating too. It was just a little different, another layer kind of to the movie. I don't know if it was initially trying to say something, but I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And just like I said, I don't know if that was intentional or not. It felt intentional at how just over a top and just how aggressive like all the characters were being towards each other. And like I said, they were making there were so many comments about I'm trying to think of something specific, but there were so many references to like dicks and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, it was very pointed.
Yeah, they say cunt a lot in this too, but I think that's a British thing. Here it's not.
True.
Here it's not a like you when you call somebody a cunt here, it's completely different kind of connotations. I think there it's more common. And it's more of a general term. But
I agree. But I guess what I'm saying is I think the general public that just enjoys seeing these kind of, you know, mano a mano movies where guys are, you know, being tougher than the other guy and all that bullshit, they're going to get something out of this. But I think there is something else going on there. I think there's a lot more subtext to this than maybe one would think going into it.
I can see that for sure.
A couple of things bug me, and these are, I mean, well, one, I don't know if you'd call this minor. I assume it's an attempted rape. I mean, he's not really there long enough, I think, for the rape to happen with the Henry Golding character.
Yeah.
With is it Elizabeth Dockery?
It's Michelle Dockery.
Michelle Dockery. I don't know. That seemed unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just him trying to attack her in any way, Matthew McConaughey would have done what he did.
Well, and this is where we got that sin. I don't know if we've used it in a long time, but all bad guys are rapists.
Yeah.
Where it just seems like every time they have a female in captivity or something, there's always somebody that's got to be like, well, wow, this is a good, perfect time to rape.
Well, and it also seems kind of cheap in the sense that it's almost like they feel like they've got to make Matthew McConaughey come out to be the better guy. Because Matthew McConaughey is not a good person.
No.
He'll kill people in a heartbeat. I mean, there's that whole sequence where he goes and handles the Henry Golding situation himself, where they poison... Or they put something in Wu's tea or whatever.
Right.
And, oh, God, that fucking scene.
Yeah.
Man, where he's just vomiting.
Projectile vomiting, yeah.
And then he's like, you know, you'll shit yourself to death in a couple hours unless you take this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's not a good person. So I guess it almost feels kind of cheap in that scene. Like, well, we got to make Henry Golding be even worse. So when McConaughey just shoots him, we can be like, yay!
Mm-hmm.
You know, he killed the rapist. You know, it's like, but I don't really feel comfortable, like, you know, cheering on McConaughey either. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird things. Also, and it's so funny because we discussed this. This happens recently. I saw Joker, and I'm so tired of the scenes, and I know you are too. The scenes where the car gets hit in the intersection.
Yeah.
It's driving
by
some random truck or something that comes out of nowhere.
This isn't just something that, like, if you took over the years, you would get like a 3-minute video. You could do this over the course of 1 year and get a 3-minute video of how many times
that's what I'm saying. I feel like just in the last year, I've seen this so many times. So when it happened in this movie, I just remember kind of going, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't have thought of something else, like anything else.
Yeah, there's never any sense to it. I mean, in certain situations, I guess it makes sense, but like for the most part, a lot of the times people are they're at full speed driving through an intersection.
Yeah.
And somehow the other car has timed it.
Yeah.
Like they've been looking, like they've had some lookout on a building somewhere going, all right, tell me when he's about to go across the intersection. And they've like timed this out perfectly, you know, and they don't have any traffic in front of them or anything.
And then I thought it was going to happen again at the end, but they ended up just pulling in front of them to get the guys to stop. I still don't know how. I mean, it is kind of funny, one of those things where McConaughey at the end, when they think they've gotten, well, because you find out, first off, I guess we should say, you find out that they knew Hugh Grant was up to what he was up to.
Yeah.
And so they're just trying to figure out how much he actually knows.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they find out, they're like, okay, well, let's go take care of the Eddie Marsan guy because we know we've got to get him to not do anything. Oh my God, the way they get him, by the way, is so funny.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't see it, but just they get him. Well, they drug him and he fucks a pig, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're supposed to assume?
Yeah, which is sort of taking its cue from a Black Mirror episode,
but in a funny way.
Yeah.
And we don't see anything.
Right.
But I even love like how they do, like, I don't even know how they would set it up like this, but I love when they show him the laptop so he can watch the video because he doesn't know what happened.
Yeah.
It's it's a pig's ass.
Yeah.
And you have to hit the button.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they would have done that, but
yeah.
And then Colin Farrell and Charlie Hunnam's conversation about it letter. Oh my God.
yeah.
Or Hunnam's like, you're not gonna be able to unsee this, right? He's like, no, you'll never unsee it. It's like it's ingrained in your head forever.
Colin Farrell's great. There's a point where he's like, okay, I'm not someone who's just gonna constantly give you things just because I screwed you over.
Yeah.
He's like, I can give you 3 things, and then so he gives him the 3 things, but then there's a point where he has to do one more thing.
He has to kill the Russians.
And he shows him 4. He's like, that's 4. And
well, and that's the thing. I mean, at the end, after they think they've got Hugh Grant where they want him, they've taken care of all that. They've already taken care of Henry Golding. They've taken care of Matthew. They get him to. So McConaughey ends up getting paid about half. No, more, like $270 million.
Yeah,
and still gets to keep his business,
right?
Because you find out Matthew's involved in all this. Yeah,
because Matthew has been scheming with Henry Golding's character.
Yeah,
and that's how Henry Golding, that's how he tells the kids about the underground place where they can go and do this, and that's how with it being on video and everything, it's immediately knocked the price down it was going to be $400 million, and now Matthew assumes it's going to be $130 million.
Yeah.
After the fact that it's been exposed and there's one less place to buy and all that, but what was I gonna get around to on that? I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say. This is one of those movies where you have to go through like 100 million different kinds of plot.
Like literally.
Yeah.
Or not literally. But they deal with him. So they deal with Matthew. They make him forward the money, and then they take a pound of flesh from him for the attempted rape on Matthew McConaughey's wife. And then so after all that, and they think they're fine, then they find out the Russians are after them.
Mm-hmm.
And then so McConaughey gets taken.
And the Russians are the people connected to the kid who fell off the balcony.
Yeah. And so they're trying to kill, but then for some reason, like instead of just shooting Matthew McConaughey, they decide to drive him somewhere. I don't know what that's about. But then Colin Farrell's kids, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're actually thinking they're going to kill McConaughey or if they know what's going on. Like,
I don't know.
That
was one part that didn't understand. And they just call Colin Farrell and say, we're going to do this, and hang up.
Well, yeah, I got the impression they felt bad because they had dragged him into this shit. Mm-hmm. And so my thinking was they were trying to stop McConaughey from continuing because they didn't realize Colin Farrell had gotten out of the situation.
Oh, so they actually, because when they shoot that van, I mean, if they wanted to kill him, they easily could have.
That's true. That's what I couldn't figure out because I don't know how they would have known about the Russians because Colin Farrell didn't even really know. He just happened to kill those 2 guys that were coming after.
Of course, we find out that they opened the back of what happened to Mickey, and it's like, and Hugh Grant is pitching this to a Miramax executive, and he's like, no, you don't want to know where he is because sequel, and,
which I'd be okay with.
Yeah, I would be too. We had a lot of fun with this movie. There's no doubt about it. A-, great. That's a great. I mean, especially for January.
No kidding.
I was half expecting like about 10 to 15 minutes into this movie, I was like, okay, I can kind of see maybe this being really bad at some point, but it really picked it up.
The only thing that sucks about movies that get released around this time, though, is that I just worry that it's going to be forgotten. I mean, like you have stuff like Silence of the Lambs and Get Out. You had movies. I think they came out like in February, but still, you have those movies that stand the test the rest of the year. But like this doesn't have that kind of.
This movie is going to feel like it came out last year by the time this year's out.
Yeah. I kind of wish it came out later just because, I just think people are going to forget about it. It's probably going to make a little money. It'll be all right. But
although I'm assuming it probably, well, let's see. Let's see if it did come out in some territories. It came out in the UK in 2019. I wonder how that affects, like, does that mean? I imagine like if for some reason this was able to get Oscar consideration, which it probably wouldn't anyway, but I'm assuming that in America, that's what matters the most when it came out here and everything.
Exactly.
So in the UK, they've been able to see this for the last 6-7 weeks.
I wonder if a January movie's ever gotten nominated, because Get Out had like a small release in January, but it basically was a February.
Yeah, it was
movie.
a February movie. Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't know. Maybe like back in way back in the day, it's possible.
Yeah, I don't
Not
know.
in our lifetime.
Yeah, and it can't be. Yeah, and it definitely can't be a movie that was from the previous year that
Exactly.
like an American Sniper,
Yeah,
which had its main release in a January. It can't be that either. It has to be a movie that came out in that year.
Because I know it's like I said, Silence of the Lambs was like February or
something.
It
was Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Get Out got nominated for Best Picture, didn't win. Braveheart was like May.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few like beginning of the summer.
Yeah, there are some, but for the
Gladiator.
For the most part, though, that's correct. The movies that come out early in the year don't get any consideration. Yeah. Wonder Boys was one that I remember from 2000 not getting enough consideration, even though that was a great movie. But it came out in March maybe?
Yeah, and I'm almost positive that all 9 Best Picture nominees have been like since October. I think that this year. I think that's 2019.
Could be.
I think that's right. I figured it out in my head, but I can't remember if it was September.
It was a very
bottom-heavy
year.
For
sure.
Jesus! Yeah, more so than I can remember.
Yeah.
So that's another reason this is a pretty good start to the year, because I don't know what last year I had before I hit a Bad Boys or a Gentleman. I mean, it was a while.
Yeah.
But anyways, really good. Highest to recommends.
Yes, for sure. So what did you think about this movie? Go to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. Also go to Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. We are also on SoundCloud. We are on Discord. If you want to get on Discord, you can go to the Reddit page and find a link on the right side, or you can go to Facebook and private message me, and I will give you a link there. Where can people find you, Jonathan?
You can reach me on Twitter at SamLoomis13, or you can hear me every week on Behind the Scenes podcast with Aaron Dicer and Danae Hughes.
All right, well, that'll do it for this mini-pod. It's Chris Atkinson and Jonathan Watkins. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Otto Bathurst.
Oh, no, that was a nobody.
Well-known director.
He also directed The Runaways. Most people don't know that.
Yeah,
he
also
there were
directed
two
The
people.
Runaways. He also did that, yes.
I think Guy Ritchie produced it. That'd be funny if Guy Ritchie really did produce The Runaways.
Yeah.
He's doing something. What is Cash Truck? Is that another gangster movie? The plot follows H, a cold and mysterious character working at a crash. Yeah, maybe. It's Jason Statham. Oh, hell yeah. Jason Statham and Josh Hartnett.
Huh.
And Holt McCallany, who I like a lot. So, wait, maybe that's not who I'm thinking of. No, that is the guy. It's the guy from that David Fincher show recently.